to the Rugby Biz podcast, and we're here after the first week of the Rugby Championship and the Springboks' long-awaited victory in Brisbane and a surprise victory for Argentina in New Zealand. I'm Thala. I'm joined by Shaun today, and we're going to review the Springboks' victory and also look at the surprising team that they've selected for the second game against Australia in Perth. Shaun, how are you doing, man?
Hi, my man. I'm great, thank you. The rain has returned today. I thought it was gone, but
No, it's here.
yeah, I know. But I was actually I was away the weekend, so I watched the ruggies with my old man, which was nice. And then just a little road trip. Got away quickly and watched the rugby. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's nice watching the Bucks win that way with my pops, and then it was quite entertaining watching the Argentinians do one over the Kiwis.
Yeah, I think that's a lot to enjoy there. Shaun, let's start with the Springboks game against Australia. So the Springboks won 33 points to 7. They came into halftime winning 21 points to 0, and the Wallabies only scored, and they had the bonus point at that stage, and the Wallabies only scored in the 75th minute. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, probably the most comprehensive victory we've had in Australia in an age. And still, I think we could say that the Springboks could have easily gotten another 2-3 tries.
So, here we go. My gut feel after that game was we were at like 6.5 out of 10. And then I was like, that can't really be right. I must watch it again. So I watched it again. And it's really hard for me to want to give the Springboks a 7. So, yeah, read into that as how you feel. But between 6.5 and 7 out of 10 is my feeling about that. And just because exactly why you said, like, I think we left so much out there. When the game finished, you didn't have this overwhelming happy feeling. There was a little bit of like that empty gut feeling, like, yeah, we probably didn't do it well. The first 20 minutes we were exceptionally inaccurate in a lot of things, and then we just kind of pondered through and then managed to win well. It's weird saying that after a big win, but if we're honest, we didn't play as well as the score suggests.
Look, I mean, I'm just happy, on the other hand, that the Springboks got themselves up for a game against the Wallabies, the Wallabies being ninth. There wasn't really much in terms of like personal stake or pride in this game, except for, trying to correct or avenge their record in Australia. And we know in the
First,
past how the Springboks have had their problems with these sort of games, that they almost have always one and a half eyes on New Zealand and forget about the other rugby championship participants. So it's good to, play that game with almost I'm not saying Springbok teams were disrespecting Australians in the past, but they came to win this time, and there wasn't any sort of like, it feels like they just flew the night before and they're still jet lagged when the game started. Feelings.
first back-to-back win against the Wallabies in Australia since 1993.
Goodness.
And we're heading into rarefied air this week and next weekend and the weekend if we win. But I think it's big. I mean, Rassie Rasmus he touched on it last week. Oh, sorry, I lie. When the squad was announced before they traveled, he said he wanted the guys to go there and wanted the whole team and management and everyone to have a full week there before game week. So I think we arrived on the Friday and then they did a couple of things, but he wanted a Monday to start and a full Monday to Monday. And the truth is we've been going there like it's been disruptive and 100% eyes on the All Blacks, always have been, and it's like it's disrespecting like us. Forget the Wallabies, but like we're always, even in our darkest times, we were often competitive against New Zealand. We were blown out of the water, absolutely, but there were times where we put up a massive fight against the Kiwis, and like that's just, we can always play well against the Kiwis. That's not a benchmark for how we are as a team. It's about playing against 12 ranked team in the world and giving them more than 33,
Yeah, no, I think you know what, it's good that we have been able to switch on. I mean, we'll talk about the surprising selections for next week in a moment, but let's talk about this game. The most, so maybe you can complete this sentence, Sean. The most impressive part of that performance for you was, so you can choose either player or aspect of the game, however you want to go about this.
Was our tackles complete? Our defensive setup was the
Mm,
most impressive thing for me.
yeah,
We were
bingo.
at 87% ish, somewhere around there. We haven't been there for a very, very long time. I think, interestingly enough, I think we have scrambled and defended well and perhaps better in the past, but this was more complete for me, especially post Jacques Ninabe. Like this is, we've been there and there. We've been really been up and down. But it was a good defensive setup. And what's great is we were having real conversations about nilling the Wallabies in Australia. I mean,
Mm.
like I was more upset about them scoring a try than much else that happened.
Yeah, I mean, 75 minutes and you are nailing Australia in Brisbane. I mean, that's their fortress essentially. That's an impressive performance. And I mean, we'll talk about the Wallabies, and obviously they're probably at the start of their journey, but that's still really impressive. There's obviously still a lot of talent that the Wallaby side had. They still were able to manage to create some opportunities there in the second half. You know, they had 4 clean breaks. They beat 18 defenders. They were coming through, but the Springboks stood firm, and they, I mean, except for like that last quarter, they barely got into the 22. Never mind, really getting into try scoring position. Obviously, I guess that's maybe a good place to start talking about some of the impressive players. And Ben Jason Dixon, 19 tackles, tied for the most in the game. Comes into the squad on the day, essentially, into the starting team because of the injury to Achis Neyman, which moved Peter Steph to Toy at 5 to lock. Um, it's hard, yeah, it's hard to not be, like just impressed with Dixon's performances so far. He's more than showed he's up to this level. And I mean, clearly he's a prototype of the Peter Steph, Franco Mostert workhorse type of player that the Springboks have favored at blindside.
Yeah. There was a lot to talk about in that loose trio. Obviously, Ben Jason Dixon, Ulrich Lowe, all eyes were on them. And very much so, Peter Steph to toy at 5. Like his career's gone full circle. He's going back to 5. But it was like what what's very clear is that and Rassie speaks about it in the presser after the squad announcement for the coming weekend's game. Is it's about like creating depth, not just depth with experience, but depth in age in multiple positions. Um, but yeah, it's happening. Ben Jason Dixon, um, yeah, he was impressive. Like that's what we expect. If you speak to anyone about like Peter Steph Toy, and like they'll just talk to you about his tackle numbers and his dominant tackles. Like that's what they'll talk about. It's almost probably like the eye test that we'd have for a blindside flanker is just really just mowing everyone down. And Dixon did that, seemed to be with relative ease. So it was good. He's fit into that environment so well. Like he's definitely grown. He's excelling in that environment. Him, Sasha Famig and Gomazulu, like Damien Willemse, just a couple names that like pull into a Springbok setup and just really elevate themselves. So it's great for him. And what's great is in what's his first few games, that he's really people are like he's almost in that conversation with people like, well, we can move Peter Steph to toy somewhere else and then we can start Dixon. Like you would never have heard that before. It was very interesting. So yeah, super happy with his performance.
Yeah, I think it's a big credit that he's. I mean, with all due respect to Portugal, he's well, not survived, but played really well in a test like this at, obviously one of the better teams in the world, and in a rugby championship game, and it's away from home, and he's performed really well. And speaking of Peter Steph, it's nice to know that he can fill in that lock. I had a bit of a worry when I saw the news in the morning. I mean, obviously this game was at 6:30 for us in South Africa, so you wake up and you just open your phone. You're like, "What? Peter Steve is moving to lock? Oh no!" So there was a bit of like a flutter, and just, I mean, he hasn't played lock regularly in. how many years. So
I don't
you thought, okay,
Doesn't see him
scrums and
move.
lineouts could be an issue.
Yeah, he hasn't played lock. He may have helped out during a game somewhere along the line, but I honestly, I haven't really looked into it, but I just don't really recall him playing five lock. I know that he played lock at the beginning of his career, but you know what I mean? Like in almost in this whole World Cup cycle, it's just not happened. It's very interesting.
So and I think that's a good thing to have with Peter Stefan. I mean, we have a bit, well, not a bit, we have quite a locking crisis at the moment if you consider Lodiach, Franco Mostert, Jean Klein, Achis Neyman are all injured. So it's good to know that Peter Steff is someone that we can rely on if he needs to play at lock. Like that isn't going to be a problem. Um, I think the other thing to mention is, especially in that 40 to 60-minute period, our attack really clicked well. And we saw with some of the set attacks and the counter attacks, geez, man, it looks really good. I mean, the I think the patented like 5 minutes where we talk about how impressive Sasha Feinberg Komazulu in this podcast has to happen again. So he starts at 10. A bit of a surprise, he starts over Pollard, and he's given the chance to start in Australia. Again, someone that hasn't really played that much 10 for his national team, I mean, for his franchise. And she's, it doesn't look like that player. I mean, Sasha has that this was his first start at 10. Like he really looked, he was a duck to water in that position, and he played so well. And I think from the backline side, a lot of them can take credit on a really good attacking performance. There was that pass that Kriel gave to Arendse. There was, apart from Villiers Leroux probably butchering a try, like he obviously did his bits and pieces where he helps the attack going. Kobus Reinach, I think this was the perfect game for him because his support lines were great, and everyone was contributing, at least in the backline and attack. And you have obviously those big forwards in the trams as well.
Yeah, so almost like everyone in the back line did something somewhere. And Villy, that that was part of that 20 minutes of super Springbok inaccuracy in the to start off the game. That Villy was with that hog and go. But like it's so bizarre. I saw someone on socials was like, "No, it's time for Villy to go." I was like, "Fuck, here we go again." Whatever. It was a bad call. It really was. But like it was a
Okay,
guaranteed try, and it matters.
sorry. Can we take a step back? So Sasha makes the break. Nice break. Gets through a
Wait,
forward.
we got
Gets
to go
me.
back one more. See ya at 9. Come on.
Oh goodness, yeah, like this total rugby that we're playing where everyone can step in at 9. So Sia at 9, Sasha at 10, steps a forward, goes through, draws Dalgunu one-on-one. It's Leroux and about two other box on his outside. I think there's even a box on Leroux's inside. And obviously we know Leroux is Mr. Try Assist, like most try assists for the Springboks. I think most in the world, or third most in the world since he debuted. So I was like, okay, great. I'm looking forward to Colby or whoever dotting the ball down.
It was,
Then he steps
yeah,
inside, and I'm like,
couldn't
Vili,
believe
this is
it.
not 2013. You don't have the pace for that.
I couldn't believe it. It wasn't like he stepped inside, like he just couldn't shake that tackle. It was a late call. It was late to do that, and the defender was shaping up for one thing, and that was for him to step inside. The defender couldn't defend anything else. So, if he steps inside, you're going to have to wrap him up. And he did. But, I was upset, eh? But, like, everyone got involved. I thought Reinach, out of all of our backs, Reinach and Lendi were probably the quietest. I know you spoke about Reinach being, like, running good support lines. I thought there was a little bit of inaccuracy, like, passing-wise in the beginning.
And his kicking.
Sorry?
And his kicking, I would say.
Yes. Like, funny thing is, I was expecting Reinach, now that he's got his chance, it would be a little bit different. I think he's going to be quite a bit frustrated with his last couple of games, but I don't think it's by any means him going away. Like, I think he's staying there. And Delaney, we didn't almost need to set platforms. It was strange. So, like, every time he touched the ball, he did something. But Villy Leroux, Cheslin Colby, Kirtley Arendse, Jesse Creel, and Sasha were great. It's so weird running against a non like a zero friction defensive line. Like there's no friction there. There's nothing's happening. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. You kind of just run with it, and there's a half a gap or whatever. Your mindset's got to change. But it was, interesting where the Wallabies go from here and how they build for the Lions tour next year. But it was good to see the guys have a decent run.
Yeah, stats wise, Curtly Arendse just leads the pack with the defenders beaten and the number of meters made 107 meters, 5 defenders beaten. He scores an impossible try. I'm still not sure how that happens
How?
before half time.
Yes.
I'm sure
How
Joe
did?
Schmidt must be spitting mad.
Yeah. Like how do you? How does he decide that that's where he's got to go? Because there were definitely a couple of easier options, like maybe four. And then how does he make that decision? But then how does he execute? It's wild. Like I've watched that in slow mo. I'm trying to figure out like what did we see? What did he see that we're not? That it's incredible, and that's obviously why he is who he is, and he has like a ridiculous strike rate. Test played to try scored, but yeah, just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love it. Colby's did that a bit in the World Cup. Like our wingers do that sort of stuff. It's crazy. They see stuff, and I think what it's do is they just kind of see a half gap, and then they just trust that they're going to wrong foot someone, but their acceleration through that is gonna break them
Mm.
free. Like we see exactly that. Not such a clean break as Arendse made on Saturday, but we see that with our wingers often where there's a little half break and there's opportunity for offloads. It's it's crazy.
Yeah, I think look with our wing strike rate at the moment. I mean, Curtly Arendse is at one try a game, which is ridiculous. But Bimpy, I think, is at like 0.75, 0.65, something along those lines a game, which is also high. I mean, I think it's the highest out of like the top of the top try scorers. And Colby's at one every two, basically. I think just a bit less than that. So all of those three, I think they almost have one moment where they sort of break multiple tackles and create a clean break in the game in every game. So they have that one magical moment a game, and I mean, you can say probably the same about the likes of Mark Talea, Walt Jordan, Damien Penno. Um, it's just such a nice thing to have for the Springboks that they can almost bank that Orensa or Colby is going to do something almost impossible, and that just brings your attack to to another height. And speaking of
Sasha
Colby,
Sasha's
oh, go on,
showing
go on.
that he's got one. Sasha's showing he's got one a
Jeez,
game. And
yeah.
and I would go as far as saying Jesse Creel also has something a game. He he
Mm,
he creates something somewhere. Almost every game he's involved in creating something out of that's not a gimme if you understand what I'm saying. But more
mm.
importantly, Sasha's showing that he's got it. Whether it's at 10 or 15, it's crazy. He's deceptively quick for a man that he's big, but he's quick and he's got a fend and there's something about him that guys are not coming to terms with because he's making breaks that you just expect that he would get wrapped up in. So it's amazing. Sorry, talking about Cheslin Colby.
No, again, well, and now I want to talk more about Sasha. I think he has that like deceptive, like, oof, do I say the name?
Yes.
he
Say it.
he whispers Dan Carter ability of just sliding through tackles because he's more powerful and more quick than he maybe appears to be. So not like Bowden Barrett, who's obviously a demon, like just off the mark, and obviously can create breaks like that, or David McKenzie, but just that ability of look, I have more power than you think, and I have more pace. So if you give me half a gap because you want to hedge on my passing ability, which is also out of this world, I can take the gap myself. And that I think that's pretty much how he's done those two big breaks that he did in the Ireland and an Australia test of just that threat of him passing and having the ball in two hands makes the defender think, okay, I need to try and hedge against that as well, and then he's gone. So yes, it's such a big weapon that he can bring playing at 10. And I don't know what at some stage we have to talk about what poor John Dobson has to do because he has a few selection head scratches once the Springboks come back later this year. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, go on, Sean. Sorry.
No. It was just I was just going to agree with you. And on that, like he's not Sasha's not he's not tackle busting. He's not
Mm.
he's not Damien Delendi through a gap, like who almost seeks out contact, but he doesn't seek out contact. He gets contact coming to him because he's so big and people know what he's capable of. So they flood that and he still breaks through. Sasha's not doing that. Like he's seeing things and guys are not waking up to it quick enough. And that's why, like as you say, like kind of guys through that gap because he's big, and then he just kind of ekes that little 5 centimeters. He gets that 5 centimeters quicker than you expect, and then he cruises. But he holds his speed well. Like he doesn't lose his speed too much when he's going through. Like when they don't stop him, his acceleration is pretty decent, and that's what absolutely destroys defenses. Like when like Colby is stepping someone, he's going like 1.5 meters, like 90-degree angle to which direction it was running. Like you have an opportunity to kind of catch up a little bit, if you understand what I'm saying. But yeah, it was good to watch.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about Mr. Colby, who was moonlighting in many positions in this game.
Sure.
So, first scrum for the Springboks, he plays at 9, maybe to take advantage of the new law innovation of there being a bit more space for the scrum half off the base of the scrum. And he gets the ball and he just darts off from there. And with Kobus Reinach hanging out in the back line, so he's there for second, oh geez,
Sorry.
second phase. It even shocked Sean there. Then late in the game, he's throwing into the lineout because there was a yellow card on Malcolm Marks, and then finally he also tries to slot a drop goal. He smashed, I think it was Tizano, bouncing him off in a tackle. He smashes Alan Alato, yeah, and tackles him as well. Just a just a ridiculous game of just doing pretty much everything for the side on Saturday.
So good. And I was just going to say, when you talk about like winger conversion rates, they were like, Chesy's like, oh, mine isn't up there, but I'll just show you I can do 35 other things. We were robbed. Like just to kind of go back a little bit, I think the one thing about Ulrich Loh that he has to work on is that retention of the ball at 8 when the scrum's moving forward. I thought it was a little bit shitty and scrappy, mostly for Reinach, obviously, but it it's something that Colby could really have used in that scrum. I think we were robbed of seeing it. We'll definitely see it again, but if everything goes according to how Rassie and them do it, it's probably going to get put on ice for a while. But having Colby at 9 and who was it? It was Reinach at 10 with someone else, with Kirtley
Yeah.
Arendse,
I thought
wasn't
Reinach was
it?
more at like 13 in that first phase,
I
but
thought he was
yeah.
closer, but and Kirtley Arendse was there as well because the scrum was on the left hand side.
Mm.
So like that, and they try to make it look like they're trying to make a gap. You got to watch. Imagine watching 3 of those guys as a flanker, one of you and an 8th man coming off the scrum trying to plug gaps, and then 10 and 12 are trying to. Yeah, that is just crazy, man. We were robbed. We were robbed. I'd like to see that again soon, please.
Yeah, look, Tony Brown is pretty much Mr. Tricks when it comes to set piece moves, and we're seeing a lot of these little moves and innovations coming through. Obviously, Rassie is a bit of a mad scientist himself, so I'm sure those two together, Oxenchair is going to be standing at fly off in a scrum one of these days. You've heard it here first.
He needs a try. He needs a try.
Does he not have a try for the box?
No.
Oh,
Um
wow.
I I think he's the only one that doesn't have. I did it against Ireland. Against Ireland, I said that he was the only player that didn't have any points. Yeah, 32 tests, zero tries, maybe 33 tests, but
Mm.
yeah, no points, no points for South Africa yet.
Okay, well, that's the focus then for the next few weeks. Yeah, Springbok attacking stats were great. I mean, over 500 meters made, beat 29 defenders, 9 clean breaks, like just really good ball retention in the rucks, like only conceded 6 turnovers, which was not too bad considering the possession they had. Didn't kick as much, only 25 kicks, which, is quite, is on the sort of low to medium side. Um, Maybe let's just talk. I mean, I think we've talked about at least a lot of the individual performances. Um, I think we've mentioned the likes of Arendse, we've mentioned Ben Jason Dixon. Oxen Chair, I mean, if it was a debate, I think he's clearly the best loose head in the world right now. I mean, he's taken over that baton from Kitsoff. He's obviously just great at the scrum. Franz Malab also was great scrumming for once against a non like elite loose head for once. And his ability just to pass out the back is like just opens up that block attack. Obviously, the forwards are more involved in this attack than they were before. So, yeah, I just have a lot of time for Ox and his performances so far. Shaun, any other players you want to pick out for just really had really good performance on Saturday?
I do want to echo what you're saying on Ox. Like, he's really good, but there's so much more to it. If you look at like Frans Malherbe, like I think he made one carry for, I don't even know if he made meters, but he didn't have an outside of the set piece kind of a game, which we're happy with. Like a lot of people don't realize that it's just perfect. It's gold. Um, but Nche offers so much more, and I think like if you Google him and his cheaters days, like that one try he scored for the cheaters, I think that kind of sums him up perfectly. Like you can get a 45-meter breakaway try out of him easy, but you can also see him standing at 10, shaping to carry and then pulling it back to Sasha, or someone. So there's a lot of arrows there. He's got options. He's got the skills to execute them. It's beautiful, and I agree. I think he's the best that is currently playing.
Yeah,
Hello, guys.
hi,
Yeah.
Cooks. I was about to say someone coming off the bench. Maybe you can start talking about which box from the bench impressed you.
Hello, guys. I just want to finish his point there before I jump in. Hello, listeners. Sorry for coming a bit late. Yeah, I'm doing a Thala and coming off the bench. Yeah, what a game on Saturday. It's definitely worth waking up at 6:30 for. But I think Thala went off the bench. I think, no, it was definitely was. I think because I didn't rant about it before the game, so it's fine. But you're come off the bench. I must say, this is gonna sound the most cliche thing. I thought Quacker Smith was great again off the bench.
It's
I
beautiful,
mean,
eh?
it's probably his best chance of the year. Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely everywhere again. Marks was great again off the bench. I wonder if Bong had a niggle because I saw Bongi came over about what 30th minute
Yeah,
or
back
around about there,
spasms.
came off in the first half. But then yeah, Marks and then was fantastic. I think Marks and Artie Sevilla are probably have a record in terms of number of turnovers in their own 22,
Mm.
number of try savers. Those two have stopped. I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, I think Marks was great. Harris Ten Company, another great test match. And I mean, Scrum was great, but just also on the loose, I thought he was fantastic again. I think he's sort of cemented himself as the second choice number one now, which is a massive thing to say. I mean, we still have like the likes of Trevor Nyakane, so I think he was great again. Yeah, I think Gokko was great. Marco van Staden is always industrious, and Grant Williams again. I don't know what that guy has to do to get a start, but
True.
he was fantastic. I was really hoping for him to get a start now, but Grant Williams sort of. I'm sure you guys talked about Sasha, but I mean Grant Williams to me reminds also a little bit of Sasha, where if we give him the 9 jersey, he might not give it back.
Yeah.
I mean the way he's playing at the moment, and yeah, he was fantastic off the bench again. I mean, Hunter only played about 7 minutes. And just funny enough, he actually came on at centre as
10.
opposed to 10. It
Yeah.
looked like so. Yeah, I thought our bench was good, but yeah, I think for me the standouts was Marks, Kwacha, and Grant Williams.
Yeah, I can't agree more, especially with the Steenkamp point. I think his work around the park is underrated. I think he got another turnover this weekend when he came onto the pitch, and he's just really good at doing that dirty work and getting himself involved. And he's a decent threat with the ball as well. So he's playing really well and in good form at the moment. And I mean, it's probably a bit. It would have been laughable to say this a few months ago, but Steven Kitshoff has a bit of a battle to get himself into the match 23 now. Like it won't be just an automatic addition for him. Yeah, I agree with how good Grant was, and Quackle Smith as always was really good. Yeah, I think there's a lot, and Malcolm Marks, I mean, goes without saying. So yeah, I think there's a lot to look forward to. Yeah, I think the only real, I mean, Sean, I'll go to you again. I mean, we talked about the Box not really, converting their chances in the first 20 minutes, which was a bit of a negative. I think the other one was, I mean, the lineout, obviously, we had a great lineout innovation to score the first try with the double pods. That was really great, and Khaleesi scored from that. But still, there's still a bit of a discomfort I have with our lineout at the moment. I think it's still not where it can be, especially when we have the likes of Lord Dioch and Franco Mostert playing. It I still think it needs a line out general. There's still a few, and especially when Markham came in the second half, there's still a few moments where we're missing jumpers and not really as accurate as we are. So yeah, that's my negative. Any other sort of little things to work on for the box?
It's a good one that you've mentioned because it's the truth. The other thing is just the accuracy. Like we were really messy in the opening 20 minutes. With respect to Australia, we are going to play significantly better teams than them, and like we're going to get off to starts like that, and then we're going to be staring down 10-0 down. And I think as a team, it as a team, our unit looks like they're really good at just avoiding going down in the first 20 minutes and building on the game from there. Like we've come back in the past, but it's to me, if you look at the All Blacks of the past, if they're 14-0 down, it doesn't phase them. I think for us, like being 10-0 down is a problem. And it's something that we want to try and avoid for obvious reasons. But being 10-0 down comes from not scoring, you know, like we against Ireland before we went 10-0 down, we had an opportunity to score. And we had plenty of opportunities to be a little bit more accurate in not only the opening quarter, but I think the entire game. And it's lineouts, it's just regular passes, just not hitting their perfect target. Um, and it's not our first game of the season, and we should have done better. So accuracy for me is big. I know that's something we've struggled with in the past, but we've got a whole new lineup, which we'll talk about later, facing Australia in the second test, and accuracy is going to be even more important then.
Yeah, Cooks, any sort of little work ons from your side?
Yeah, I think Sharky hit the nail on the head there when it comes to accuracy. My only bit of worry is sometimes like we do, yeah, we do also still have these little phases where we just sort of wane, sort of go in and out of games. You know, so these phases where you sort of allow the opposition to get back in the game. I know against Australia, we were we were in cruise mode. But I think also there's times where we sort of allow the opposition to get back in the game. And if you look back at the Ireland first test, we were so good in that first half. Yes, Ireland's a quality side, they come back, but I wish sometimes we do put the nail in the coffin and properly on certain teams. I do think a 50 point was thrown away on the weekend, and I know in saying that is obviously we do have the Brisbane hoodoo that we just broke, and yeah, we'll take that. But I mean, I think now obviously going forward, and you want to sort of see, I think at the end there's be a lot more clinical. I know it's a bit of a fucking shitstorm from Angus Gardner at the end there, all the number of cards in the game, sort of like at the end. I thought Angus sort of blew that. Not Angus. What's the ref's name on the weekend? We had
Luke
Luke
Pierce.
Pierce.
Luke Pierce sort of blew at that, like you watch a school derby there, and the team's like 30 points ahead, and the refs like sort of slowing things down. There's like penalties, the scrums take forever. That was a bit frustrating, but yeah, I know probably now it seems like we're nitpicking after a good performance, but yeah, I think again the bar is that high for the Springboks now. I think obviously I want us to continue dominating, and so many chances you get to put a 50 point margin against our big rivals in the Wallabies. I mean, we have seen them put 49 points against us in Brisbane, so I was really wanting us to repeat that, and but yeah, but it's not much to actually fault. Like Chuck, you said, just the accuracy. But one thing I do love is, yes, I love how brave we are with the ball now. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a time we were running the ball out from our own 5 meter line, and I mean, before Jesse's try, I mean that's beautiful rugby. And then you look at well, Willie could have helped us by passing the ball, help us score the try of the season, but what you mentioned there. It's just like like I
Here
think
he
as we
is.
spoke about it.
Here
It's
he
just
is.
it's the last person on earth you expect to do that. Like that was the worst part. Like as soon as when you put his hands, you're like, oh, try time. I mean, what, I mean, splendid. And you're like, what? Of all people,
It's not.
really,
It's
I
not
think
like
that's what shocks me the most.
it's not like the cover defense was possibly going to catch Creel. That was the other thing. It's not like the man he was going to pass to was in doubt of possibly being tackled out. Like it was so simply a try with a pass. Oh,
Yeah, but also like, and Vinny is like also like it's on the time. Like, let's say he gives it early, he can always get it back. Like that's the type of break plays. Like he follows his pass. So, but I mean, like other than that, yeah, I think yeah, we put in nitpicking at the moment. I think obviously those weekends game when you talk about selection, I think it's interesting because obviously going now the Wallabies. So I mean, I know Tally probably mentioned the Wallabies. I just I just actually can't think they can't play any worse. That's the like if you're a Wallabies fan, that's the only upside for them.
Yeah, I was about to ask you if there's anything impressive you can take for the Wallabies, and you probably answered it there. Yeah, mm, I'm. I mean, still very early in the Joe Schmidt reign, and obviously this probably says more about how bad Wales are right now than it says about the Wallabies. But yeah, you can't really say too much that the attack was, up to much because it wasn't really getting through the Springbok defense. I mean, obviously without the likes of Tupou and Angus Bell, they're already probably quite behind there. And defensively, like they were holding on and scrambling really well in the first 20 minutes. But obviously, if you can't really exit well and you keep giving South Africa an opportunity to run at you, you're going to concede points. I think the only things I would say is Rob Valentini, again, just setting the standard for that team. He's just so good at just doing everything and trying to make this team somewhat good. And just, I mean, I don't think he had a good performance with his core roles of passing and kicking, but Jake Gordon with 3 turnovers. Oh my goodness. Like that was quite big. Cooks?
I wanted to say that Drop Valentini has taken over the Michael Hooper mantra of basically being the only like world class player in the rugby side. I mean, they don't get like over 10 tackles, over 10 carries. Like he's putting in like all these world class performances, but when you put together like the best flanks in the world late in the year, he'll be overlooked because the Wallabies have won like 2 games. So shame, Rob Valentini. If you need any advice to get through this, speak to Michael Hooper about what it's like being world class in a team of in a team in a poor rugby side. And also Jake Gordon, I know you just praised him for his 3 turnovers, but had probably the biggest brain fart of 2024 that I've seen already this year. And I've seen the Ospreys. I mean, on the Ospreys, I've seen the Dragons play every week.
is this beating
But
Villy? Is this beating Villy's no pass?
no, no, yeah, but Villy's no pass. I mean, but Villy's like, I mean, doesn't happen often. But like the Wallabies have been defending for like for 10 minutes, somehow still 7-0. And their first proper attack, they get to about what? Just
Yeah.
just past the inside of the Springboks half. Okay, cool, just patience. And he puts up the world's dumbest box kick so deep
Mm.
in on 22. I
Yes.
was like, what
Yes.
on earth is this? I was like that. And then
Didn't
obviously
Colby
whatever the
mark
Wallabies
that?
defended,
Colby was able to
yeah,
mark
marked
that.
it.
He got to mark that and have a
I
conversation
was
before the defender even got to him. It was a terrible kick.
I'm like, oh, Jack Gordon, so you guys just want to play rugby, but then obviously whatever the Wallabies that were in front of Cheslin Arendse before his first shot, whatever those guys were doing. Like if I was Joe Schmidt, like if I saw that, like that for me is enough for me to be like, Jack Gordon, I'm sorry, I don't think you can play for this team again.
Nick, what's the
And
answer?
then I made a tweet about it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they see in that guy. Just always. I just when you see something like that, and then Nick White is sitting in a suit, like it makes me worry. I'm just like, surely if push comes to shove, you gotta have Nick White. But also if I'm Joe Schmidt, like this Gito Law things, get everyone back, get Karevi back, find Pete Samu wherever he is. Like get people back in. Anyone who Richie Arnold,
Anyone who
just
has a
get them all back.
passport.
Anyone who has check if Swoop and Drew Mitchell and Mac Gates. I mean, Gates still was playing now. See if they're available. Anyone that can play Flav, Curtly Peel. See if we can put that Achilles back together as soon as possible. Like, see, my goodness, like I'm to tell her Oh yeah, I'm officially off the bandwagon now. The Noah
Oh
CEO. I'm off.
no,
I'm done. Sorry,
I'm the only one left now,
done. I'm
Cooks.
done. I'm done. Sorry, I'm done. No more, no more. And I'm doing it before he starts throwing those interceptions against the All Blacks. I'm getting off now because then I'm really going to be upset.
I don't know. Look, I mean, I don't know what they do at 10 because obviously we've talked about Ben Donaldson, and I'm not sure, like, what he is, to be honest. He gives very strong, not as good Mayor Bosman vibes. Tom Liner, is he ready? I don't know, but geez,
Well, he has to be.
between between Gordon and Olosio, they just look. I'm not expecting. Obviously, it's a pack that's going back, and you can't do too much. But at least exit well. At least get the ball out. At least get the ball back to midfield and sort of get a restart with a line out, so you can just reset your defense. They couldn't do that. Like
They got
just
to bring
and
Reese Hodge
when
back. Reese Hodge,
oh
he can
goodness,
clear a ball for you.
he
Not
was
playing at 10, but he can kick a ball.
oh no. When we pining for Reese Hodge, we have a big problem. We
I,
have a
you know,
massive problem.
Especially at 10.
only thing about Reese
Like
Hodge
especially
is
at 10
I wish one of those kicks against the All Blacks, I think one or two against us, those 55 meters to win the game, I just wish he landed one of them. Just one. Just one. But who else can kick long and clear? Marky Mark, did he kick? No, I don't think so. Like Reese Hodge is that guy. Otherwise, agreed. You've got to bring Gitz and Swoop back. Drew Mitchell doesn't have a boot. Yeah. Karevi doesn't kick. I honestly, this is legit, no bullshit. I really think Quade Cooper or Foley should be getting a look in just for some guidance, just calm everyone down and then integrate the new guy in off the bench slowly, but
Yeah, but then Foley won't kick the ball out in the after a quick tap in the 122, so that's going to be a problem in an entire game. So I mean, that's not going to work too well. I just think Sharky, like I know someone has said to me like like Gordon and Lolosio is it's harsh because they're going backwards. I agree that, but against Wales, they weren't convincing either.
yeah,
It's like you said, Tyler, it's like small things like like just not controlling a game and it's tough for the Wallabies because it's probably the position where they have the least amount of depth is at 10. I mean, you're going from. I mean, Lucia, I mean, it's been 4 years and he hasn't kicked on. Ben Donaldson, I don't know what he is, and then you got Tom Liner, who's also very young. I mean, James O'Connor can play 10, but he's hardly played rugby this year.
I
So
forgot about him.
I don't know what they're going to do.
You,
I don't mind even just throwing Tom Lyon in. Give him a start. I mean, it's better. Like, I mean, you've seen what else is happening at 10, and you still put a Hunter Paisami next to him and Len Nikita, then throw maybe a Nick Wharton at 9. Because yeah, I don't know. I mean, anything's better than what's happening at the situation. I mean, okay, fine. Gordon can play flank then if he's going to get 3 turnovers a game, and then I mean they have issues at blind. I mean, open side flank. So I mean, so like this. Josh Schmidt, I'm so sorry for you. Like you don't deserve this. To be honest with you, like you're a good man, great coach. This is getting tougher and tougher and tougher.
I, I'm gonna upset you a little bit here. I believe Nick White. I'm a big fan of Nick White, but I'm a big fan of Jake Gordon too. So on my 3 9s, Jake Gordon and Nick White are in the match day 23, and Tate McDermott's out. I I I still cannot. I still don't see Tate McDermott as good as everyone else sees and makes out to be. Like I'm clearly missing something here, or I'm just hate watching. But Jake Gordon and Nick White, I think, would be the perfect combo if you can just get the balance right about who starts and who benches, because you can alternate both of them. But I quite like Jake Gordon.
I don't mind him with the bench. Him or McDermott or Jake Gordon. I just think Nick White has to play 65 minutes each week
Yeah,
at this rate for the Wallabies.
yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I think this is all good and it's important, but it doesn't matter if they can't sort out the tight five. And they clearly obviously don't have if Tupo and Bell aren't there, like Kalea was great around the park against the Wallabies, I mean against Wales and Georgia, but he had a big scrummaging lesson on Saturday. Zay Nongo is probably not good enough for Test rugby at this stage. They need Angus Bell and Taniela Tupou back. I think Taniela Tupou They say he's still not available this weekend. I
No,
think he had
he's
a
going back
loss in
home.
his family.
Yeah,
And
his
Bell, I
father
don't
passed
think
away.
yeah. So, and I think Bell's also not available. So it's going to be a long day. If those two aren't playing, I don't know what they do at lock. I mean, yes, their lineup still is such a mess right now, and you can bring back Skelton and Arnold, but who can lift them? So that becomes an issue as
Skelton,
well.
will Skelton at 4 and Salaka Loto at 5 not work? I
Who's
think
calling the
Skelton.
I
lineup
think
of
he
this?
can.
Oh,
Lotto probably, eh?
Oof.
I don't
Can
know.
he? I mean, if he can, I think maybe the long term solution is one of Alice Al or Hooper playing six and being that third line out jumper, and then having Skelton and I don't know if Frost can call a line out, but he better learn quickly. Something like that could work, and maybe having Arnold replace Skelton at 50 minutes or something like that. Because
And Valentini
yeah,
at open side or 8?
no, Valentine at eight. Wilson, I think he's at best an impact player for my books.
We're trying to tell you about this Harry Wilson thing, but no, give him a chance. Harry Wilson only give him a chance. No, let him play. You see now, I didn't even know he played. Him and Tizano did not play rugby in the weekend. They
Hey,
named the team
Zona
sheet.
had
Tizano got
19
pinged. We
tackles.
saw him because he got pinged all the time.
Yeah, shame. No, I'm not hating on Tizano. But Wilson, I just saw him sing the anthem. Then I saw him walking the field. That's all I saw, Harry Wilson.
Yeah, if they can, yeah. Joe Schmidt, good luck. Okay, do you guys want to talk about the All Blacks in Argentina first, or about the Springboks side for this weekend?
No. Let's get
All Blacks.
let's get the All Blacks out of the way. This is going to be a
Yes.
beautiful entree to the Springbok squad.
Okay. Well, Argentina wins against the All Blacks 38 points to 30 in a game where it seemed like, at least, Cooks, I'll start with you. It seemed like for 60 minutes or 50, 60 minutes that the All Blacks should be winning this, but Argentina just kept staying in it. And then once they saw an opportunity and things started falling apart for the All Blacks, they took it. And obviously led by Augustin Creevy, who's, somehow still playing rugby even after he was coaching Spain earlier this year.
I forgot
I
about that.
yeah,
I forgot about that.
I don't yeah, and I'm genuinely interested to hear from you guys. I'll start with you, Cooks. I'm not 1,000% sure about why Argentina or how Argentina won that game. Was it just a matter of they just allowed New Zealand to play too much and put themselves into trouble?
Yeah, and 100%. I mean, the funny thing with that game is, Argentina had that hot start. Like in the first 5 minutes, they came like out flying out the gates, and sort of New Zealand held on, and then they did that classic New Zealand thing where they run 80 meters and then go and score a try, and you think, oh no, crap, it's 10-0. And then I thought Argentina would probably sort of falter, but they scored two absolute rippers. I mean, that Matera little delay pass was incredible, and then obviously Mateo Carrera is still what he did to Dave McKenzie should be. Ooh, that was disgusting. I mean, that little in and out, and then they scored two great tries, but then, like you said, they just hung around and just stuck in and stuck in. And the All Blacks sort of shot themselves in the foot. You look at that
Did the Cooks cut off there?
in the last 10 minutes when they
Um,
were down 5 points. Amor did Amor things,
okay, well,
skew throw, and then he like flies the middle ball over and goes straight to Creevy, and then the winning penalty comes from that. You know, Artie Sevilla decides to become Marco Bagomasco, and it basically throws it over Dave McKenzie, and then McKenzie, instead of just picking it up and kicking it, decides to do Dave McKenzie things, and then passes, sort of bisects the Barretts, and then, oh my word, and the next thing you know, it's what do you call it? It's a trial for Argentina. So like Sharky, they just kept the All Blacks. Then they kept shooting themselves in the foot, but again, like but stupid decisions, like sort of forcing their way, trying to play, and when it's like, for example, like the bad pass from Marty, all McKenzie gonna do this, so almost either go down or just kick it out. But
Yeah.
then obviously tries to force the play, and then one mistake leads to another, and then it's a try. Amua misses the line out. It's from there, boom! It's a 10 point swing, and you lose the game. And yeah, I just think the All Blacks. Obviously, I know they're gonna cross that lock, but you can't. It's not like Argentina. You got to put them away. I mean, 38 points they conceded the weekend at home. That is piss poor.
Yeah, it's so I I agree with Thala. It was a weird looking game, but I think just because of our PTSD, like you're just expecting New Zealand to run away with it. The thing is Argentina love playing away from home. They have no problem with it. Like they can really go tits up, as we saw in the World Cup. Like they just didn't perform, but when they're in a game, they're in a game, and you don't want them in a game. The thing is them being in the game compounded the All Blacks' inability or mistrust of what they were doing or with the people around them. As the Pumas were in it and they were putting pressure on, but the way the All Blacks handled things is what we're not used to. I think shining light for them was Anton Leonard-Brown at 13, and they've had brilliant players on the park, but it just capitulated into this shitstorm. And once Argentina got once Argentina could like really smell blood in the water, like really just sense that there was fear in the opposition, then they just basically put the hammer down. They brought on Agustin Creevy and he just did what he does like so well. I mean, he scored 6 test tries in his career. 4 of them have been against New Zealand. It's beautiful. Like he was built for this. But there's a combo of what happened. Like Argentina were putting them under pressure, were doing their thing, but the All Blacks were coping. There was cracks, but they were coping. They were doing their thing. You always fall back onto the things they've got class everywhere, and then it got too much. The pressure or the elastic band broke. Like the pressure was too much, and Pumas went to go and score an absolutely sensational try, and New Zealand crumbled. And that crumble is massive. I think that crumble, that what we saw there is massive, massive, massive for New Zealand rugby. Considering what has happened the last 2 years, I know they made a World Cup final, but the how everything happened with Scott Robertson getting in, and now the start that they've had struggling against England and now losing to Argentina, this crumble is big. It's big.
Yeah. Um, it's so interesting looking at the attacking stats from this game. So New Zealand made double the passes that Argentina made. New Zealand made 194 passes, and Argentina made 106. And New Zealand only had, I mean, they had 55% of the possession to 45. So it's not like the biggest difference in the world. So it doesn't necessarily justify all that sort of difference in passing. But Argentina had made more meters. New Zealand only beat 4 more defenders than Argentina and only had 1 more clean break. So clearly, I think there was a matter of New Zealand not necessarily playing rugby at the right place and just not getting too much result from it. And even with the tries that Argentina scored, 1 try from Argentina was from a turnover. Materia gets the ball, puts in like just almost a through ball of a pass and gets through. The other one was from us, they try to do a box kick, sort of a kick and chase. Severis just knocks it back, and Carreras just breaks Damon McKenzie's ankles. Like Argentina took the opportunities really well because New Zealand wasn't able to play in the right areas of the field, and they, you stay in a game like that, then that double error with the passes happens where New Zealand loses 50 meters from just 2 horrible passes from RD Sevilla passing when Ratima was there to clear the ball. He misses everyone. Then David McKenzie somehow passes through both Barrett brothers to put the ball in the goal area, and then Argentina just turned the game from there. Like I think in world rugby right now, there's 4, maybe 5 sides that are above the rest, like the top 5 that is in world rugby at the moment. But those teams that are not in that top 5, the Scotlands, Australias, Argentinas, like you let them stay in a game, they can punish you. And that's what Argentina did on Saturday. They just were like, you know what, we can take this. And yeah, I think the biggest thing for Argentina is they had a massive performance from their loose forwards. They had a great performance from their back line. But I think the most encouraging was their scrum was back, especially in that second half, because we obviously didn't see any scrums for 60 minutes. When Sclavi and Vivas came on with Creevy, their scrum really made mincemeat out of Tugafasi and Fletcher Newell. And that's going to be really encouraging for them going forward.
couldn't think of a better front row to have in a running game of rugby than what Argentina started with. But you're right, and everyone's talking about it. The scrum, not having a scrum. I mean, De Groot, Taylor, and Lomax, when they Lomax and De Groot went off at 59 minutes. I think the scrum was at 61 minutes. Those guys must have been just shitting themselves when they saw that. But the thing is like I watched the breakdown, and a lot of people do, but Sir John Kirwan, or JK, has done a massive about turn. So if you can clip him for the last 2 years about the Springboks and what he says about the Springboks, it's almost like, which is weird for him having been a player and a coach, like it's almost like we're all drinking the Kool-Aid about the All Blacks they can do whatever they want, but they don't need the basics. The thing is the All Blacks were always just quietly doing the basics well, so they could then perform. But now he's talking about how they got hurt by not having a scrum, how the exits were a problem, and that's all basics. And the thing is if you take your eye off the ball, that's what's going to happen. Like, you look at that side that the All Blacks have got, they've got great side. They've got like game breakers left, right, and center. But they just couldn't get a grasp on the basics of the game. And they were beaten by a side that really just cook. And they had a jaw. You're right about like their loose trio was so good. Like, I mean, Marcus Kramer not getting sent off is a win in any game, let alone what he did on the day. One of my big underrated players and non-spoken about, but Santi Chocobares was brilliant. So good. So good. And like, I'm just looking at that backline and I'm thinking, I mean, wasn't Santi Carreras like played at 10 and everyone shat the bed because he was playing at 10? It took a while, but then and then it took him a while, and then they've got it right. And the thing is we're used to watching Argentina do what they do now and then just absolutely fall apart the following week. So I hope they've got enough. No travel, no anything. They're in the mix. They're playing at Eden Park. Just might as well just douse those flames quickly and early. But expecting the All Blacks to pull a Damian Willemse and ask for a scrum as soon as possible on Saturday?
I wouldn't be surprised. It's just funny how like hearing them like begging for scrums and going like the funny thing is the ironic thing is like it's coming from a breakdown where the guys sort of thrive from loose play and they'll be like, oh wow, was there no scrums until the 60th minute? I'm like, you the guys didn't want scrums, so now what's the issue? But if I'm an All Black fan, here's my worry. I've got no locks, pretty much. I didn't have lock. They didn't have great lock depth to start off with, even when they're all fit. Like you go Scotty Barrett. Who plays 5 for them now? You go Scott Barrett, maybe the Tuipulotu. But then from there, it's like, it means Triple Vi, Josh Lord, who aren't basically, like I say, big internationals. So they already have a lock crisis before that. Now they don't have any locks to say. Now Isaiah Walker's in there. I mean, he was nowhere near the squad. He probably was still planning to play NPC. Now all of a sudden he's been roped up to play for the All Blacks. But from the All Blacks, it's obviously the lock concern. And also, All Blacks have not looked good at home in any of the tests so far. The two tests against England, where England, and a very young England side, gave them a massive run for their money. And then Argentina goes and beats them at home. This is, if they're not convincing at home, the hardest part of their season is still to come, because they still have to come to South Africa twice. They still have to play France and Ireland and England away from home. So my worry for them is, unless they plan to be a very, very good traveling team, it could be a long season for the All Blacks. Because I mean, they could easily lose 2 tests here in South Africa, lose to Ireland at home, lose to France. I mean, so
One to
Ireland
Australia.
Lose. I mean, they can beat Australia in their sleep. And then, like I say, lose to Ireland, lose to France, lose to England. So this season could go very, very tricky for them. All I'm saying is, if you're Richie Mwanga, come back home, get ready to learn some Maori, brother, because you're coming home. They're going to find a way.
He's playing for Japan the next World Cup.
You are coming home. But, so the All Blacks, I mean, they should, they'll bounce back this weekend. because Argentina can't play well for back-to-back weekends. And then they'll praise themselves, they'll get themselves up, and yeah. But I just think even if this game on the weekend is even if Argentina loses this game by 2 points or as a cracker again this weekend, their job is done because it just shows how fragile the All Blacks are at the moment, and I feel like then you understand it because this is them at home before they go to the hardest part of their season.
Is Scott Robertson like? Is this a pressure year? Like, is it almost like a mulligan that he can throw away and say, "Look, maybe we
No
own." I
way.
mean, I know the All Blacks have high standards, but this is probably the year. Is this probably the year where he can go? Okay, we only won 50-60% of our test matches, but we're building something, and I know now who I don't need to take forward because even in the selections, I mean, apart from now maybe dropping Samipeni Fee now and putting back Will Jordan, there hasn't really been, and maybe I don't know, benching Rico Yon. There hasn't really been too many aggressive selection calls and things that were different from the Fozzie era. So I'm wondering if he perceives or he thinks, or maybe the reality is that this is. I'm not saying NZR is going to fire him, but is this almost a mulligan year for him?
No, there's no ways. So he won't get dropped this year. There's no chance. But I don't think so. This is the way I look at it, and I have no clue how these contracts and all this shit goes down. But if he was sitting down when he was negotiating his terms and stuff and declared there are issues here, here, and here that he would need to rebuild and do some work, then maybe he gets a couple of freebies. Like the guys on the breakdown were pretty clear. Like they're like, we're rebuilding and therefore we will suffer a loss here and there. So like, but the New Zealand public, that's not their vibe. I don't think he would have declared. Like you look at the players that they've got available to them, you're expecting them to win most of their games. You're expecting it possibly to be 1-1 in South Africa against the world champions, and you're expecting them to go and beat France and run Ireland close, if not win and avenge their loss from a couple of years ago. That Kooks, you are right. I'm thinking of this now, and I'm looking at these squads, these fixtures, and there are problems there, and he's going to scramble. Like there will be some scrambling that is required from him because they've got the players and something's not clicking. So have they implemented a whole bunch of really new technical new stuff that that the players are struggling to come to terms with and default back into like comfortable space when they're under pressure? I don't think so. Like New Zealand rugby has historically had a general way of playing, and there's obviously little nuances that different coaches and stuff bring, and obviously in the test level you've got to change things up little bits here and there, but as a blueprint their rugby is their rugby. So is it a case that they've given away too much, or people have learnt and stolen their IP and understand them better as a team while they're trying to find themselves and therefore like they're more vulnerable? I don't know, but this doesn't look like something that's going to get fixed before the end of the rugby championship. Like I do see them possibly winning one test in South Africa. That's just because it's the nature of the beast when South Africa and New Zealand play each other. But will it come right by the end of the rugby championship? I don't think so. Like you're under pressure against Argentina now. You are playing the Springboks who will be doing different stuff, and then you're playing Australia. And if Australia roll over, you're not learning anything either. Yo.
Can I just
But then, Sharky, I
before you go, Cooks? I just want to say I'm also just not
think,
seeing anything that new game plan wise from the Razor All Blacks. Like I'm not quite seeing what their game plan is apart from having a good pack and playing a bit more ball in hand than maybe they did in the World Cup.
It's the only
yeah,
changes we've seen is 12-13, really. Like those are the choice changes. But other than that, you're right. There's nothing that's come out new. Dalton Papali is under massive fire after the weekend. I didn't think he was that bad, but we all thought Ethan Blackadder was going to be the answer. I thought he would come in during the World Cup, and he didn't. But he's struggling a bit.
I just think for me, the All Blacks at the moment, the problems in areas they have are the key areas where all the top nations are very good. I think obviously they have a crisis at hooker. I think Cody Taylor obviously is their starter, but I do think he's not where he was say a couple of years ago. I mean, that's through age. Is Taki Howe still injured?
Don't know.
Because I mean, if he's I know he got injured, but if he's healthy and he's not playing ahead of say Amua, then I don't know what's going on there. They don't have locks. You look at all the best sides in the world now. They got great lock depth. If they don't have yeah, they think that Takao still injured, so hopefully when he comes back, he makes a massive difference. But they don't have lock depth, locks at the moment. They still haven't answered the age old blindside flanker problem. All the best sides in the world have got great blindside. It's Peter Steph. You look at this Channel Cunningham South England have discovered one. France have got Crow. There's even England. I mean, even Australia can throw a Valentini there. Like Matera was a menace on the weekend. Open side. Dalton probably he still's always been on the fringe. It still hasn't come right. Does Sam Kane come in and maybe do something in his last year? But again, then they have an eight. They have props nine. TJ, I thought it was quite slow on the weekend, but then he leaves in the year. Then you got a whole bunch of youngsters in Ratuma and Hotham. 10 issue. 13 looks like the sort of the issue there with ALB, but you still have ALB and Rico. And then 15 obviously depends. We have Barrett there, but they got they spine is still a mess. Like in terms of this, you look at Hooker, Lock, eighth man is fine. Hooker 9, 10. There's still holes there. There's gaps in certain positions that they're not the best in the world, and they don't have depth in those positions. And I don't know what they're going to do because they're going to go up against teams now in South Africa, France, Ireland, England, who are good in those positions, and they're good at home as well. So that's why I think for the All Blacks it is tough, and for Razor it's for me it's not necessarily in terms of tactics. It's just it's personnel. That's the big issue at the moment. They don't have the players that they had. They lost so many good players last season, and someone like a Frizzell, a Mwanga, they're 28, 29 guys who would still go back there, but they're gone. Will make a massive difference. You add Shan Frizzell and Mwanga in this team, it's a completely different rugby side. So that's for me is a tough thing for Razor at the moment.
How how do you see this unfolding? So let's say we're looking at December 2024. New Zealand lost once against Argentina, so they come back this weekend. They lose twice against South Africa. Let's say that happens, and they lose once against, say, Ireland, but they beat France. Do you see that as a pass? I think we look at it as a pass now, like knowing what we know, having watched against England, the wins and the loss against Argentina. But I mean, like that means that they're winning, they're beating Australia. Australia, I agree. I don't think that they can beat them, but I mean, it is the Bledisloe. They're always worth one win every couple of years. Like, is it now? Um, they could realistically be on the end of 5 losses this year. Not realistically. Realistically, they could be on the end of 4 losses this year. 5, maybe. Like, that's quite something.
No, I think if you're the All Blacks, anything under 70% is pretty much a failure, and I think this could be the first season in a long time they could be there. I can't like at this very moment. I know JK still and the guys still believe they got that aura around them. They still do. They are the All Blacks, but teams aren't. I just don't think teams are afraid of them. I mean, look, Argentina guys, think about this. Argentina went to New Zealand the weekend and were willing to sort of go toe to toe with them, throw the ball around. Either it's like was that Argentina won the game through resilient defense, rugged set piece, and won the game 15-12 and sort of took the All Blacks to the gutters. They ran them ragged as well. So teams now are flying to New Zealand and be like, mate, we'll throw the ball around, same as you. England did the same thing. Went to New Zealand, sort of came and threw everything at them, and were willing to throw the ball around, willing to take risks. And now you're telling me they're going to go to South Africa, where in South Africa, for example, now I feel we do have the backs to match them skill wise. We got a better pack. France, England. You say, for example, like beating France, with Dupont pack, like That's a different France and to Mark's back. Oh, All Blacks, All Blacks, oh, All Blacks. Welcome to the dog day. Welcome to the dog ages. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Oh, shame, poor Razor. Oh
He
no,
could have entered the
oh no.
2025.
breakdancing competition there in the Olympics.
Woo, woo.
It's not coming back to the next
Yeah,
Olympics, so he's lost his chance.
Oh man,
2025,
nice.
the rugby I don't even know who New Zealand are playing in June next year, but
France,
2025 rugby, who? France. Oh,
France.
okay. So 3 wins there because France are sending the under 20s. But,
Are you sure?
well, France,
Even with those under 20s. Oh,
but the rugby championship, if they don't win the rugby championship this year and they don't win it next year, he's in trouble. Scott's in
Yeah,
trouble.
those don't forget, Chucky, those French kids won a game in Argentina. The same Argentina that the All Blacks just lost to now.
True.
yeah, they almost beat Australia in a series. Yeah, I mean, look, France, obviously, they just pack in that July series, but they're still flipping competitive. So, just to sort of wrap the point up, New Zealand has 10 more test matches left this year. So, the 5 rugby championship games, as we mentioned. Then it's Japan away, England, obviously, these are all away. Japan, then England, then Ireland, then France, then Italy. So, 6 out of 10, I think would be good, but
Italy's going to be a must win for them, eh?
it's going to come to that point, really. So yeah, there's a lot to
And
to get to there.
they're racing place for Italy. Yo, Italy, this is the year. If Italy's the channel they in 2016. This is the year, Italy. If you are the you like, they're gonna rest a few players. It'll be in between, sort of playing like Ireland or even France, England, or Italy. This is your time. This is your time. You can do the funniest thing.
Oh yeah, but yeah, let's see how they go. Obviously, they need a lot to improve on. I think positives were Bowden Barrett was brilliant. I think yes,
He's so
he
good,
is
eh?
still
He is
the game
so
is so
good.
slow for him. Basically, he sees everything
Yes,
in slow motion.
it's exactly that's exactly it. Exactly.
Yeah, so he was great. I thought Ardy was doing his Ardy things defensively. Yeah, I mean, people are arguing about, you can't say DePart's a goat because Ardy is still playing well. I mean, Ardy's leading one of the worst New Zealand teams of the last generation, but okay. But he was good. Yeah, I think Anton Leonard Brown was impressive, like we said. That was probably it. But yeah, I mean, going back again and just finishing up on Argentina, just brilliant game. There's a great thread by Hugh Talks Rugby, friend of the pod, from the Pirates Rugby pod, talking about Argentina's development and how like they still have a team together from like the A team and the Jaguares, and basically all of their players are quite young. Like a lot of them are still under 30 and have just a ton of caps. Like, so this team can stay together. So the whole question, like Shaun, you said earlier, is about can they just repeat this performance? If they can do that, then Contaponi has changed something. But yeah, I know Argentina and I've been burned by them before. When you expect things from Argentina, it usually doesn't go well. So, Cooks, what do you think? Are they going to upset that form now?
I don't know, Thala. Yo, just if they don't lose by 50, then I think it's a positive thing, and not because of the performance. It's they always do this. It's like they'll make history, and then they're like forget how to play rugby the week after. But I
Job's
think
done already, man.
again they said all the right thing. Conte was like it's all about next week. Cravey said it's all about next week. But I've seen this movie before. I've seen it, and I've seen it many a times. But Argentina now is in a situation where, for example, they could win a series potentially in New Zealand. So you know. Oh man, imagine Argentina breaking the Eden Park record. Jeez, that would be incredible. Um, Listen, but like you said, like Argentina, I mean, for Contemporary, and the funny thing is, I was having this chat with someone. They're talking about the rugby championship. Argentina may have, for example, never come higher than third in the rugby championship, but we've seen the value of them being there since they've joined in 2012. They made two World Cup semi-finals, and you look where they are now. They're placed very well because you still have. I mean, they've got one of the best loose trios in the world. Like that, if those guys are firing, they're going to be. I mean, Matera, Kremer. I mean, flip. What's the eighth
Gonzalez.
man again? I
Gonzalez.
always forget. Gonzalez. I mean, jeez. Because Gonzalez is a guy from Saracens, eh?
Yeah.
He's the one that
Yeah,
broke
he's
Billy's
a rugby.
ankles.
Jeepers, that guy's good. I know he's a rugby player, and Kremer, like I said, Thala is like what 27 or like 7-year-old caps, and when he's not trying to take people's heads off, Kramer's unbelievable. I mean, Matera is obviously all world. I mean, he's amazing. Then now they've discovered another hooker in Ruiz. It's like a hooker factory there at the moment. They've got going on in Argentina. So, and Thala, I mean, Carreras wasn't bad in the weekend. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was
I'm
good.
sorry to say it, but he stepped up. He stepped up. But like you look at it, they have players and they've guys that have something to build on. So they have, I think they have a formula to obviously to get another win in New Zealand. I think they don't fear the All Blacks, and they'll know that. I mean, obviously the All Blacks expect a backlash, but I think Argentina are capable of handling it. I do obviously think All Blacks will be favourites, but I just don't think Argentina will get blown out this weekend. But again, I've been burnt by them many times. I'm actually going to expect something from Argentina this weekend.
I've got a slightly different take. I think they're totally focused on getting 2 results. It all hinges on how the All Blacks can dictate what they need to dictate, like slowing the game down to get a scrum, to that. So we're almost going to see Argentina of old tactics by New Zealand to get a foothold in the game, because they weren't getting a foothold. They were there and thereabouts. And that's what's going to change. Like, we're going to see they potentially are going to show up a completely different side of their game because they need to win. And the thing is if you want to bring Argentina into the trenches, they will happily go there with you. And that's probably the problem the New Zealanders have at the moment. But New Zealand, how they deal with Saturday dictates the result of the game massively, I feel.
Yeah, it's the irony of obviously all this talk about law changes and New Zealanders wanting the game to be more open is, I think at the moment the strength of the All Blacks is their forwards. And the sooner they realize that, and also the sooner they realize that Razor and obviously Jason Ryan, sorry, are like, forward orientated type of coaches, the sooner they realize that, and soon they let them rolling more cook and get a platform from their scrum and use their sort of close contact game plan, the better for them. Use that as the basis, and then obviously you have the backline, like the natural backline talent to go. Like they kind of have to look at, South Africa 20, like 18, 19, 2021 for their sort of, you know, like plan into how they want to play rugby right now. So it's ironic we're saying now New Zealand has to slow the game down, and New Zealand has to try to get to set piece, and New Zealand has to do all these things that they have been trying to maybe change in rugby the last few years. I think let's leave it there and then talk about sort of the news. We're recording on a Tuesday, so we've seen now the Springboks released their test match squad for Saturday. And yeah, as Cook said on the group when he saw the team, he said "yo," and I think that's basically the reaction to it. So 11 changes for the Springboks. A lot of new players and new faces, and essentially majority of the team that played against Portugal is playing the game against Australia. I have my thoughts. I would have rather wanted us to sort of go for the kill, and then maybe by match 5, match 6, the rugby championship is in the bag, we can sort of go for it. But yeah, I mean, clearly, obviously there's just a, like the Springboks and Rassie obviously have this like almost like this obviously like building depth for the World Cup type of like long-term plan. And yeah, I guess it just essentially says, and I guess they also have a confidence that this team can beat the Wallabies. And there's, I think, a good argument that you can say that, look, it's the 9th ranked team in the world, you're the number 1 ranked team, a lot of these players can. But yeah, it's going to be tough though. Shaun, your reaction and maybe the 1 or 2 players that you're looking forward to seeing on Saturday.
I was shocked. I expected changes. I didn't expect this. It's very interesting to try and now unpack this and try and figure out what's going on. And I'm with you 100%. I would have liked a little bit more continuity to go and just finish this off, I think. But our egos are overriding a lot, perhaps. the focus has always been New Zealand at home. Like if we get one win away at Australia, we get two against New Zealand here. We should secure the rugby championship with two solid performances against Argentina. I think that's probably the way that everyone looks at it. I'm very surprised Grant Williams didn't start. I really want him to start. So so I'm going to be watching Morne van der Berg big time. And I'm also very, very excited to see Lukanyam at 12. I think everyone is like, oh, Lukanyam's fit. He must play, he must play, he must play. And we're like, oh, it's a toss up between him and Jesse Kriel. So Rassie's just gone, screw it. We'll put them both on at the same time. We'll see what happens when it happens. So Lukanya, I'm at 12 is exciting for me purely because I'm very interested to see the dynamic of the back line, what changes where. We don't have anyone like Jesse Kriel is going to be setting those platforms. He's going to be straightening the line more often than not. Lukanyam often straightens the line just because of his quick feet and the way like his shoulders face and what he does. I think there's that. But Jesse Kriel is going to have to do it. And then we're going to just unleash Mapimpi, Colby, and Fassi. We'll probably see Mapimpi come into the line a lot, I think. And it's it's going to be exciting, but we've got a lot to look out for. The other one in the forward pack, Thomas Toy and Johan Krobler, I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, look, I think the back line is very interesting, and the bench is even more interesting when you consider Williams, Andre Pollard, and Moni Lubbock are on the bench. So there's a possibility of seeing a back line in the second half of Williams at 9, Sasha at 10, Andre at 12, Lubbock at 15. Like, yeah, that's just laughably insane. So yeah, I mean, Kooks, I think you're ready for a feast to be served out by our chefs in the back line.
Yes, I mean it's a fantastic feast that could be paired there. I know you got Jesse in there just too, obviously, and just a little bit of structure. Him and Makasole, and then obviously Colby and the rest of the guys will have a party. Yeah, it's a very exciting backline. I think like Sharky touched the note. I think obviously coming, I'm at 12. I think it's going to be great. I think you'll fit in great at 12 because I mean, if you look at how Damien Delindy's played at 12 this season, all the touches he's had, the number of passes he's had, I think that's suits Lukanya. I'm like a T as a playing almost as another playmaker. And I think with Fassi at 15, I think it's going to open up Fassi a lot more because I think Fassi is at his best when he sort of is a lot more of a running fly off as opposed to like a value. I mean, Fassi obviously can create, but he cooks at his best when he's allowed space to run. Can never go at the defense, and I think what Fassi can open there, I think will be fantastic to watch, and obviously Sasha. I mean, but yeah, I think I like the side. I think obviously it is a massive call. I mean, it's just I just don't want to be in a situation where I think the Wallabies, for example, I think they definitely can only play better, and they should back themselves to beat it. What does look like sort of a a team and a half team sort of they're playing against. Well, we could say B side, but I think the Wallabies will definitely front up. My worry is that, for example, if we don't get the result and the Wallabies bounce back and we go down, and then now we're sort of forced to have to win 2 games at home against the All Blacks, which is always tough, and then have to sort of win 2 against Argentina, and one of them being away from home, and it's a quick turnaround because it's a week apart. So that's my concern. I agree with you. I would have loved to sort of go to Argentina. Especially, well, number one, go back home, guaranteed 2 bonus points against the Wallabies. Not saying we can't do it this weekend, but with our number one, with our top side, I mean, we've got the break next week. But I know we want to see the other guys go. I think I'm excited to see Jan Hendrik Vessels go again. But yeah, it's an exciting side, but just so much potential to cook. I mean, obviously the way we play in the weekend, I've got more borders coming out, but I just hope we don't Bloemfontein, Wales against Wales in Bloem 2022. That's my worry because we are coming as I mean, it's not Portugal we're playing against now. I mean, as shit as the Wallabies were last week, like I said, they'll back themselves against the second string box side. I mean, second string in probably name only, but yeah, I think that's my only concern. I just want to leave Australia with 2 wins. I was hoping to leave with 2 bonus points wins, and that's my thing. If we get another bonus point win, that has to be the prize this weekend.
Cooks, for you, the Springbok with the most to gain or most to prove if he has a good game on Saturday is?
I think Ron Okia, I think it's a big test for him. I
Mm.
think obviously we saw Arge last week. I think if Ron Okia sort of has a good game, he can put himself in the mix against the All Blacks because Lut's out for the rest of the year. I mean, that was obviously announced I think yesterday that he's out for the rest of the year. I think we're still looking for an out and out number five lock that's got to come in there. I think obviously with and Franco Mostert out still out for a while. I think this is a chance for Nokia to sort of play himself into the 23 for the All Blacks, where he's either starting or on the bench for Arge. But I think for Nokia, it's a massive, massive test. And can I just add for Marnie as well? I think I'm hoping if he does come on and kick for fouls, I think that's the biggest thing with Marnie. But I'd love to see him come on. I'd love, we just finish the game off with maybe Marnie at 10, even like a Marnie at 10, Pollard at 12, and then you have Sasha at 15. I want to see something again. I want to see something with them on the field.
My player that will cause the most waves with a good performance is Ariklo. If we think about what's happening in the Springbok 8 department and how things are going, Jasper Visser comes back against the All Blacks. Evan Roos is out until November, maybe will miss November. If Ulrich Loh has a good game, he will start pressurizing players and starting to ask some big questions. I think that's a big one for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are two Bulls players, of course. So that that's that's a big place to prove. And just to round off the set here, Jan Hendrik Wessels, this is obviously a step up from scrumming against for all with all due respect for Fernandez, who's 39 years old. He's probably going to be against Alan Alatoa, who maybe isn't the best scrummaging tight end in the world, but he's pretty decent and is obviously very experienced. So that's going to be a scrummaging essay in itself. So yeah, I'm keen to see how he goes because if and he won't have like a big strapping lock like Achis behind him. It's Ruan Okia who's a bit on the lighter side. So if he can go well against Alatoa, I think that has implications even for the Bulls. That probably puts him in the match day 23 for the URC when he comes back. And yeah, I mean, obviously we've talked about the Vessels thing, and people know my views on it. That yeah, like it's a weird selection to say the least. But he is maybe the third choice loose head for the Bulls. He can put himself up into the first two choices with the. I mean, there's not many props better than Alatoa that are playing the URC. Maybe Furlong and some of the South African props, and maybe Zonda Ferguson. So strong performance, he can really put himself up there. So that's a potential opportunity for them. But geez, if I'm the Wallabies, I'm sure that's going to be all of the things in the papers for the rest of the week is they trying to beat us with a B team. Like that's going to be like a big talking point this week.
I have a question for both of you, and Thala, you can take the lead on this.
Mm.
A very, very, very good performance from Johan Grobelaar. Like, just they're all of our hookers are all in the same mold. A good performance by that, does that start putting pressure on Marks and Umbanambi moving forward?
No, basically. I mean, I think longer term, there's a possibility one of them maybe starts to fall off, maybe more so Bonambi, because he's, I think, in his mid-30s or getting close to
But
that.
Marks was missing the lineouts.
He wasn't good. I mean, Grobler wasn't
Yeah,
also
that no, that's
brilliant in the
just
lineouts
yeah.
for the Bulls. We'll see. I mean, I think if the lineouts go well, it probably says more about Nokia. And obviously, this is, I think, the one good
Yes,
thing about the selection is Bulls loose head. Well, yeah, Bulls loose head who doesn't really play with these guys, but anyway, he plays for the Bulls. Bulls hooker, Bulls five lock, Bulls eighth man. So Grobler's throwing to some familiar faces instead of throwing to whoever some more random players. So yeah, I think it could that could be a good thing, but yeah, I don't think Grobler is going to shake up that picking order if he has a really good game here. But look, a good opportunity for him. What do you think, Cooks?
I totally agree with you. I don't think not yet. I think obviously he has the potential to sort of. I think long term, and if you look at 2027, then yes, definitely. But I don't think yet, especially with the All Blacks coming up. Yeah, but I mean, I'm a big Grobler fan. I'm glad that he's getting the start the weekend. I mean, I think obviously I still think it's a cheat code to have Malcolm Marx finish game, but finish games. And I'm saying, just looking forward. I mean, I still would love against the All Blacks to see Malcolm Marx playing about 60 minutes, and maybe then you can decide whether you can Bongi or Grobler sort of coming off the bench. Um, but yeah, I think Grobler not yet. I think he's definitely played himself as the number three, but yeah, I don't think he's there yet. But I mean, I'm more intrigued of to see how Thomas Tutoy goes. I think obviously he's another test for him. I think him and also Vincent Koch will always have that battle for the number three spot. I think, guys, I still think Thomas Tutoy is due a massive Springbok performance,
Mm.
like the ones we've seen for Bath. I think we could see that this weekend. I think one way we sort of like we almost saw Steenkamp have his coming out party against Ireland for the Springboks. So I think Thomas Tutoy might do it this weekend. I think we're due one of those performances he has for Bath and him starting. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see that this weekend.
Yeah, there's. I think you can even say some of that about someone like Apelele Fassi in the back line. Like, he played well against Wales. You can say maybe it's a weaker Wales team. He played well against Portugal. You can say it's a weaker Portugal team. I mean, yeah, if he can sort of complete the set with Australia, like that really puts him into the conversation, establishes him in that, just in that position to, if Willie LaRue decides to, become a permanent, wine farmer in the Western Cape, like he's there to take over. So that's going to be a big game for him. And he's playing with, Colby and Mapimpi. So there's some familiarity there. It's going to be interesting also, I think, for the back line, because I don't think, yeah, like the Stormers don't, I guess, unless Willemse plays at 12, the Stormers don't necessarily have a creative center like Lucanio Am. So it's going to be interesting how Sasha plays off instead of having LaRue come in from 15 and sort of play as a second playmaker. So, yeah, there's a lot of interesting little things here. There's very little familiar combinations in the backline when we look at it. 9 and 10 are completely strangers to each other, essentially. 12 and 13 are both battling for 13 most of the time. Colby and Mapimpi obviously have some familiarity, and Fassi and Mapimpi do. So now it's like almost like that double date when you're trying to introduce the one boyfriend to the other, and on the base that you both like sports. So it's a lot of like
You're speaking from
unfamiliarity here.
experience.
I'm just saying, like sometimes your partner thinks, oh, you guys would love each other, like you guys both watch, the football, and yeah, obviously now if this person, or if this person is a supposed rugby fan, and then he just comes out and says something like, the boys need to run the ball more, you're in for a long day. But that's enough about my dating experiences. So it's going to be interesting to see how the backline goes, and yeah, I mean, one injury to the centers. Ooh, it's going to be a bit of a shuffling of cards there. I mean, look, I mean, I'm very much Pollard is a 12 hiding in a 10 jersey, but I don't necessarily want to see it for 80 minutes against Hunter Paisami as well.
It could be fun. I think we covered at center. Uh, yeah, I think we well covered. I think 12. Like Pollard, we'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see. But I think we covered 12 and 13 nicely. 10 we covered nicely. 15 we covered nicely. Yeah, we're looking pretty good there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's also a new way of playing. I mean, yes, can take the ball forward, but clearly the Boks have sort of gone away from relying on Dialendi like tracking the ball forward. They played without a 12 against Portugal, so it's not like they need the 12 to give them go forward ball. You see, Dialendi has a lot less carries than he did in the World Cup. So yeah, there's all these little like subplots that are happening here, and it's going to be interesting to see. But look, on the Wallaby side, this is a big test for. I mean, if it's the same team more or less, it's a big test for a lot of those players to go look. If you can't beat sort of a second string Springbok team, how many of you should be staying in the team like long term? Like, can a Kailea say he can stay as a prop for the Wallabies if? I mean, Thomas Dutoy is fantastic, to be fair to him, but like if he's not really doing well against Thomas Dutoy, how much more of a hope does he have against like the Kooks and the Malherbers of the world? If Sadlakai Loto and Frost don't have a good game against these locks, what does it say about them later? Like, yeah, there's a lot of things I think riding on both teams now. Like, there's no, I mean, Sean, I don't think there's much to lose here for the Box. I mean, Rassie won't get fired for losing. He has probably the most credit in the bank for a Springbok coach ever. And yeah, it's, we win, it's great. We have the best depth in the world. We lose, okay, we building to 2027. So it's almost the pressure, I think, somewhat goes on the Wallabies that now you kind of have to beat this team.
Yeah, it is. Pressure's on them. I think there's massive pressure, not on Rassie, but on a whole bunch of individuals, because we've seen how badly it goes for the Springboks when they change things up, like just not focused. I think the biggest thing is to make sure that the players know that it's about sticking to the game plan that will actually help their individual cause. We don't want to see guys kind of going rogue. But yeah, if the Wallabies don't beat us, they're under big pressure. There will be a massive, massive shakeup. I think the loser of this game will have will have a hard week ahead of them, and it's 2 weeks before the next game anyway, isn't it? So like they've got some shit to deal with. It's not great for any of the losers, whether it's us or Joe.
Yeah, then the Australians have to go on a flight back to Argentina, or flight to Argentina to play 2 games there. Yeah, I mean, last thing I'll say about this, just in terms of the rugby championship picture, if Argentina can get a bonus point, maybe 2 bonus points, they've got 3 home games in a row after this. And it might be against an Australian team that's ailing. So that's 2 matches there. Again, Argentina's not the side to put your money on if you think they're going to win a game, because they usually then will drop one. But 2 games Australia, they should win those. The Springboks coming back, those last 2 games against the Springboks could be a straight shootout between Argentina and South Africa for the rugby championship, which would be really good, I think, for the competition. Yeah, there's somewhat maybe a hope that they can maybe get some points at least from this game in Eden Park. Cooks, like, yeah, if not beat the All Blacks curse, just get a bonus point, consolidate, and then obviously you can go on a winning run when you go back to Argentina.
100%. Yeah, I agree with you. If you can leave there with 2 bonus points, that's first prize. Obviously, first prize obviously is winning the game, but I think if anything, you leave the 2 bonus points, put yourself in a position, win both your tests at home, and then you're going to yourself, okay, now beat this. Now you open the competition up. Hopefully, the Springboks and the Argentina, hopefully the Springboks and All Blacks go 1-1, and then now from there it becomes open. The competition becomes open gate, because then now it almost becomes a shootout between the Springboks Argentina at the end of the season. At the end of the season, where you're sort of hoping beat the Box in Argentina, then try to do something at home. So yeah, I think Argentina can put themselves in good state. But before you close the pod, I want to give you also a little nugget someone sent me
Ooh.
about the All Blacks. So between the loss to the Springboks in Hamilton 2009 and the British and Irish Lions lost in 27, the second test. So in those 8 years, the All Blacks lost 6 times, 2 draws, and none of those losses were at home until the British and Irish Lions series lost the second test.
Wow.
Since the British and Irish Lions test 2017, in that loss there, the All Blacks have lost 18 tests,
Yo.
3 draws, and 4 of those at home. So that's from 2017 till now.
Yeesh.
Hectic, eh?
Yo, that is a beauty stat.
Yeah, it just
Go for
shows
Razor.
how amazing the 2010s All Blacks were. But yeah, like
Yeah, 100%.
this, yeah, like you can see how like now the All Blacks are sort of the way the rest of the world has been for a long time, being like, hey, you lose 2 or 3 tests at least a year now. Welcome to our world.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you're not gonna go through 8 years and lose 6 games. Like no, 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 no.
That's not a thing. Like you need to regulate yourself here. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to look forward to. I mean, yeah, the narratives will be there for this weekend. There's a lot, I think, for the two. No, I mean, I don't think there's been many weekends where both New Zealand and Australia lose in the rugby championship as well. Just never mind that. So yeah, it's going to be a lot to look forward to. Lastly, Cooks, we've possibly found our new back three menace. The Griffins have a player called Cheslin Arendse. Like, that must be the scariest thing in the
Yeah,
world for the rest of the world rugby.
Is that his name? Please tell
yeah,
me.
I love that.
Is that
Yeah,
his name?
he's an answer.
Oh, what a legend!
Yes,
Get him into the box
playing for
setup
the Griffins.
now.
And trust me, he does not kicking is not something that is in his
Please
game.
tell me he plays 15.
He does.
Yes, yes. We're gonna have to move Cheslin to the left wing so we can have Cheslin and then Cheslin Arendse and then Curtly Arendse on the right wing, just to
Oh,
make
that would be
everything neat
awesome.
and everything fun. We can't have it the other way around.
We
Oh, that would be awesome.
we need that. We truly, truly need that. Like Cheslin Arendse, you need to. Yeah, I think he needs to come to Cape Town or to Joburg in Cape Town for those tests against the All Blacks, and then just complete that back three. Like now, yeah, I mean, we have a pandemic of wings with scrum caps. Now we literally have people combining names now. Or maybe we can have a Makazole Afasi as well coming into the team.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Like a Handre Ngomazulu.
Peter Steph Dixon.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness, we can go on and on and on about that.
Malcolm
Actually, last
Mbenambi.
yeah, last thing is Sasha Fireman Gomezulu has ridiculous confidence. I think the kids
Yes,
would say he
yes.
has aura. Maybe I've never said this in my life, but that interview he did with Matthew Pearce and Hanyani Shimange, and him saying, "Yeah, we focus on winning the rugby championship." I was like, "Who is this man? Like, why? How is he this confident when he's 23? Goodness, like, there's." I mean, people say there's a lot of Jude Bellingham in him. I think he's an industry plant for sure. Like, there was a video someone sent me about when he did a speech at the end of the season when he was an under 13 for Bishops as the captain. And so polished, so like put together. Like he's scary, like mature for his age.
But he's
No, but I mean, he captained baby box as well. I mean, he's captained both sides. He's played in like junior sides, captain the Lions on 21 Currie Cup side. So I mean, he's led teams before, so you can definitely see with the way that how accomplished in the way he speaks. But yeah, I mean, he basically ticks all the boxes. I mean, oh geez, that is good. Eh? Like we were laughing.
after
My one friend,
sorry.
oh, sorry, Joe. My one friend in my WhatsApp group, he goes, "That's the wrong oak to give a start at 10, because you'll take a jersey and run." And like, you're waiting for Paul to come back, and you'll blink, and you're like, the same way Pollard snatched that jersey when Mornay stand against the All Blacks, and then he's like, "Sorry, Mornay, but
Mm.
the future is now, old man."
Yeah, the way he spoke after the Portuguese game as well. I think it was after Portugal, or maybe it could have been after Ireland when he went up to media and he just basically said like I think it was after Ireland when they spoke to him about the error he made with the kick or whatever, and he was just like, the more I get to play, the more experience I get, the better it'll be. Like he's got such a calm head on his shoulders, and then it's nice. It's nice when youngsters can come out and say stuff like they believe in the process, they believe in all that. They can come out and do that. And he's just oozing confidence. Like he's not a dick about it. He's just really confident. He obviously knows what he can do. But the thing is that's also coming from Rassie and the rest of the crew, like all the
Mm.
players around there. And like he's been there, he's enjoying it, he's doing well. The guys are chatting to him, and it's amazing.
All I know is if I'm Andre Pollard, I'm never resting again. If Rasmus comes to me like, "Hey, how are you feeling on rest this week?" I'm like, "No, but
That's why
you're not resting me anyway.
That's why
I'm fine."
Hundred got the 10 jersey off him after the game. I don't think
Yeah,
Sasha owns a Springbok 10 jersey.
Yeah, that might be his last
yeah,
100 if he's not careful.
Yeah, 100 wanted both his first half one and his second half one. Like, yeah, you'll get plenty more. Let me keep these two.
Yeah, like it's very much, yeah, like the future's now. I just need, we know like what 10 years ago now, maybe more, when Johnny Sexton had that game as Ronan O'Gara and you have that photo of him shouting at O'Gara, and that was basically the handover for Ireland. From now on, it was Sexton's team. I need Stormers and Leicester to play sometime this season, and I need Sasha to have his moment to be like, okay, Andre, thanks for the memories, but I think you're done here.
Oh,
Symbolically,
don't
I
be harsh.
don't. I mean, I'm not throwing Pollard away before people come kill me.
I hear you, but it could happen.
He really wants it. Okay, let's end it there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Rugby Bits podcast. We are going to, hopefully maybe do something later this week. Please, we also did a poll where we're going to try to continue during the rugby championship for a team of the week. Shaun, I don't know if you've posted it already on the
It's
website.
up on our websites. Yeah.
Perfect.
Rugbybits.com.
Yeah. So a lot of South Africans, as expected, but at least some representation for the Argentines as well. So I'm pretty happy with
We
that.
are unashamedly a South African podcast, and all our friends have voted.
I'm just glad. I think last time I checked, Creevy was in the team. As long as Creevy's in there,
Yes.
otherwise it's a bit of a farce. Okay, cool.
No, he made it, and Butrano at 9. But other than that, I
Okay.
think it's Springboks.
We can't have everything, but good. It's good for that. We're gonna have obviously a lot of content coming throughout the rugby championship, and we please come follow us on our social media channels and keep up with that, and keep up with our website as well, rugbybiz.com, and then please follow us on our podcast platforms as well, and please share this podcast with all your other rugby lovers, and we will see you later. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.